Welcome, Anish. Thank you for agreeing to this analysis video, and I would like to congratulate you on an amazing win in the Shenzhen Masters 2019. I just have a question to begin with. Why didn't you tweet after winning this tournament?
It's a good question. Actually, it was such a big
Hmm.
moment, and everything was heading towards that. That at some point I realized that tweet has to be so good that it doesn't really exist, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to settle for second best, or and the expectations were just so high, and
Yeah.
yeah, there was nothing that could really satisfy it at that point. So I decided to just let it go.
So, Anish, we'll analyze one of your games against Hari Krishna Pentala, which you played against him in this tournament, and I think it's one of the most beautiful game as it shows how much preparation goes into the top level. You have to be aware of what other people are playing, and you should know the lines, and you can't really let the opponent play according to their plan. So, in this game, we had a standard Italian game with all the theory played until the move 13. So let's quickly come to the very first interesting position. And after knight to b6 here, you played h3, bishop goes back, and the white bishop comes to b3, and the queen takes here on d6. And now after knight takes on e5, were you surprised when Hari Krishna actually took the queen on d8?
Well, at this point, not that much because. I've played this idea in a rapid game before in December against Narkiev, which he might have missed, which he probably actually missed. Otherwise, he would have been prepared. And he started thinking very early on already about move 8, 9, and especially move 10. And when he spent a lot of time on move 10, I realized he's unfamiliar with the position and he's trying to find a way to sort of bail out of a principled approach. So I think he was hesitating
Yeah.
already move 10 about bishop takes f3 quite a lot to
Mm-hmm.
get a worse but maybe tenable position. And I think similarly on move 12 he hesitated already quite a lot because I think he wanted at this point to just get a worse but defendable position which is clear to him rather than go for complications which he is not aware of. And I am because I played very fast at this point, so I was pretty prepared. So had he played it all instantly, I would have been shocked. But given the amount of time he spent and clearly it was obvious what was going on in his head, given all that, I was not surprised that he took on
So here,
D8.
queen to f5 is the best move in the position,
Yeah,
but Hare Krishna didn't play that. Now let's look at what happened in the game. Anish took back the queen on d6, and here Hare Krishna took the bishop, which was on b3. And now, Anish, you played pawn takes, but what about knight takes on c5? Is that a good move?
yeah, I had a little bit of a memory glitch in some sense because I've seen Bishop takes D1 before. It was played by Marcus Rager against Jordan Van Forest, the Dutch player, in the same World Rapid and Blitz. And I've looked at the game, and I remember the game when knight takes d3, bishop b3, ab, which I was sure about. Uh, and I remember the white was better. And during my game with Harry, I was thinking for very briefly, I mean for a minute, and I was looking at this knight takes c5, and I thought it is better for white because I win a pawn. Um, and I saw okay, he will proceed with bishop c2, knight b7, rook e8. I have to go knight f3. Maybe he goes knight a4. I mean, my knight is slightly odd on b7, so I might have to give back a pawn to recover the knight. But I thought I was better, but I was so sure that I remembered that AB was the right move that I just decided to not trust my calculation and just trust my memory instead.
Mhm.
In fact, I later looked; both moves are very good, and yeah, in a way, I mean, knight c5 also would have led to an advantage. AB also is a big advantage. So in that
Yeah,
sense, I
right.
haven't done much damage. Yeah.
And then bishop back to e7, very natural move as the bishop was under attack. After that, white had some very freely developing moves available as the knight comes to the center and the bishop comes to f4 with some threats on the c7 pawn. So Hari played rook to c8, rook a to d, 1 plus 1 was played, and Hari played rook f to d8. And in this position, Anish, I wanted to ask if you saw this, G4 and King G2 plan in the game, or did you have it prepared in advance?
Well, I have to say that I played extremely well in the game, to be honest. But I have to say that the moves he was making, they were not very challenging in sense of, I mean, they were very solid. They were not bad moves. But after each of his reply, my reply was very obvious to me. For example, had he not gone rook fd8 on move 18, but had he, let's say, gone h6, which I think was a stronger move practically, then I would have to consider f5 after g4. And it would take me a much more time and effort to decide on whether I want to allow g4 f5, knight g3, fg4, hg4 trade, because some sort of a structural change has happened. Um, and I might have even, perhaps after h6, maybe made a waiting move. I don't know, maybe beat king of pawn, bishop h2, uh, and wait for rook d8 and only then go g4. He might also consider to go f5, for example, 18 f5. Then I would have to take a decision whether to go knight g5 or knight g2 or knight c5, which I guess I think knight c5 is unlikely to be a good move, but knight g5 or knight d2 is a very principled deviation.
Hmm.
So in some sense, I think he played the game not well because he hadn't asked me any question. After he played rook f d8, it is completely obvious to me that I should go g4, and there is no reason for me not to go g4 because there is no f5, there's nothing. It's just a good move. Uh, and after g4 bishop f8, once again, I mean, king g2 is asking to be played. Then at least you could go 97 to or a5, maybe um, to make me take a decision, let's say. And he hasn't made a single move like that. So all my moves were very easy. So in that sense, I think I played the game exceptionally well, but mostly because my my plans were not really challenged in some sense.
So after G4, we have bishop back to F8, and here after a few moves, uh, white gets a very good position because of F4, F5, and black tries to hold all, but in this position, Anish, you played a beautiful move, making use of this spin, and you played rook takes and knight takes with check. So after pawn takes, rook captures, and few moves later, after Hari tried to come back in the game, you blocked all the checks and put your knight at a beautiful square, creating a passer and grabbing a pawn on c7. Eventually, you finish the game with this check on g5, takes, and g5. And once you move the rook from danger, Hari resigned because this pawn is unstoppable. So that was a very clean game from you, Anish. I just have one question before you go. I know candidates are coming up. So how does your day look like, and how many hours do you put in for your preparation for the candidates?
Yeah, that's very much depends because yeah, there are different type of days. There are sometimes I'm at a training session and then I really focus 100% on work, and the remaining time I'm just spending on necessary things like some rest, some walks,
Mhm.
some food. But for the most part, I'm fully focused on chess, and I try to have as many of those training sessions as possible because it's very important that you sometimes really are focused during the work.
Well, thank you so much for joining, Anish. It was great to have you here.
Underrated. She's rather underrated. So